spent your life dedicated to animals and the welfare and the health of animals, and particularly vaccines. And I want to really get into what you're doing right now with elephants and looking for a cure for that. So I imagine it's hard when you have been trying to find something and work with something for, I mean, God, since the mid 90s, and now, you know, this expedited thing comes in, and yeah, I know.
Hopefully we can learn from the COVID vaccine.
Exactly.
And that may help us for the elephant vaccine.
Right, yeah. So let's talk about elephants for a little bit.
Yep.
Everyone's favorite topic. It's definitely my favorite topic. But you have been a researcher, associate researcher of Elephant Care International. And the first 9 years of your veterinary career, you've worked in 3 African countries and several development aid projects. And the following 30 years, you spent as a zoo veterinarian in the Rotterdam Zoo.
That's correct.
And now you are focused on elephant health. And I want to ask you, has that always been your focus? I mean, I'm sure there's a wide range of species at the zoo. And how did you get so closely involved with elephants in particular?
Well, that goes automatically. If you work with elephants, you fall in love with them, I think. The first time that I really sensed some kind of excitement was when I worked in Malawi. I was working on a disease in cattle. We were taking samples, and then on the other side of the river where we worked, there was a group of elephants taking a bath and foraging, and then, wow, I thought, well, that's really fantastic. And I mean, that's something that you never forget, like an elephant.
Yeah, they're so majestic and beautiful.
They are,
kind of out of this world.
Yeah, and they're very intelligent, of course.
I see this quote all the time, but it was Socrates who said, elephants, above any other animal, surpass all others in wit and mind. And that was even in humans. And he just found them to be so intelligent, emotionally intelligent, and witty. And I think people don't realize how smart elephants are. And in training them and communicating with them, and I think that's been kind of, you know, the difficulties with certain people in treating them in a way that insult their intelligence.
Oh, sure. They're very, very sensitive.
Right.
For interactions with other elephants, but also with humans, I think. I mean, whenever I had to do let's say a nasty thing to them, which is part of the the work of a vet, you do nasty things, then I mean you can start talking to them and make contact, and well, they will accept more readily what you want them to do. And that's something you don't realize. And I mean, they're so really so big. So sometimes you're talking to a big gray massive animal, and there's a little eye left to your side, there's a big ear in front of you, and well, but they listen, and they really, I can't say they understand, but they can feel whether you have good or bad intentions.
Yeah, they definitely seem like they have another sense. You know, they're tapped into something, whether it's like subconscious or something where they can tell something, they could read something that we can't. I don't know what that is, but they're tapped into something else, right? I feel like.
Yeah, well, I think they can really interpret behavior of other animals, and including human beings.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've been in Vietnam recently, in the recent years, for 3 to support 3 elephants that had to give birth. Old elephants. I mean, all the 3 cases ended up in the birth of a dead calf. That you have to do a lot of things to support them.
Yeah.
Is it my mic that is making this noise?
No, you're okay on my end.
Okay.
But I do want to talk to you about the work that you're doing now with EEHV. Could you tell me a bit about what EEHV is?
Okay. Well, it's like COVID-19. It's a nasty disease that Affects young elephants between 1 and 9 years old. So the younger ones are protected. They're protected by maternal antibodies. And elephants are different from any other species because maternal antibodies, so that these are antibodies that are produced by the mother, and they pass through the umbilical cord, through the placenta, go into the youngborn, the unborn yet. So when an elephant calf is born, it has already antibodies from the mother. And this is normal. I mean, it happens in all mammalian species. But in all species, the antibodies don't last very long. So after 2 or 3 months, they're all gone. So that makes them sensitive. But in elephants, they can last for up to 2 years, 2.5 years, which is really, really exceptional. And that protects them. And when they are not exposed to the virus, when they're still protected by the mother, so that means when the antibodies are gone, and they have not been protected, they have never been able to make their own antibodies. And that is what people have now with COVID-19. I mean, we were never exposed to it. We had no maternal antibodies. So when we are exposed, we fell ill. And that is what's happening to elephants as well. When they are more than 1 year old, the antibodies from the mother are gone. And if they are exposed at that time, they get the virus, and most of them die.
Yeah.
So, and that is again something, because elephants are so social and they need to be exposed. And this is a herpes virus, and like a cold sore on a lip.
That was my question. Like, how similar is it to a human herpes virus?
Well, there are.
In terms of like it's transmittable and its treatment.
Because I think there are 8 different. There are 8 different human viruses, so herpes viruses. So if you compare it with the herpes simplex, the cold sore, then it acts in the same way. That means the virus goes hiding in the body, and when there is some stress, the virus can escape from the immune system, and it goes through the nerves. It goes, well, usually to the lips or wherever this cold sore is. In elephants, the herpes virus is hiding somewhere. We don't know where. We know that all adult elephants are infected. So all of them have it. But when there is some form of stress, and that may be social interaction, it may be even a kind of positive stress, excitement, then the virus goes to the bloodstream and is excreted in the trunk or in the vagina or in the mouth or in the eye. So the social interactions are very important in elephants. And when they have enough interactions, they will shed the virus more frequently. So if little elephant calves are in a herd with a lot of interactions, and when they're still protected by the maternal antibodies, they will be exposed by natural infection from herd mates. So that's a kind of a vaccination, a natural vaccination.
Right. And that's sort of what we're dealing with now also in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, some way, yeah. Right. So in the absence of this system, we're trying to produce a vaccine to help them as soon as the maternal antibodies are gone. Then we hope that we can vaccinate them, and then they can build up their own immune system.
And what is your work right now with VI, and how did you get linked up with Veterinarians International?
Well, this happened a couple of years ago, 2018, I think, when we had prepared a course for elephant veterinarians in Thailand, or in Myanmar. And so this was a course for veterinarians working in range countries, Asian range countries. So they came from 10 different countries. And Veterinarians International supported this course, so we were able to host a total of 20-something elephant veterinarians. We gave some clinics, some hands-on workshops, lab work, etc.
And with them, you're working in Sri Lanka right now with their elephant communities.
Okay, yeah. Sri
Yeah.
Lanka is the next project, and of course it has come to a stop now. And there is this elephant orphanage where VI is setting up a project. And in the meantime, I took the opportunity to use this orphanage where they have so many young elephants to incorporate them in our EEHV, our herpes project.
And your herd immunity project.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and there was a really a breakthrough. We started a postdoc project last year at the vet school in Utrecht, and despite of the lockdown, we were able to develop an antibody test. Well, there are many different serotypes of the herpes virus, but now we have different ELISA tests that can discriminate between the different herpes viruses in these elephants. So we want to see what happens in these elephants in Sri Lanka, because they are reintroduced in the wild. And we know now that if they are not infected during their protecting phase from the maternal antibodies, they become very vulnerable. So if they are released in the wild without being immune, if they meet an elephant in the wild that is excreting virus, then they will still die. So we hope that with this project that we can see what is happening in these young elephants and whether they are able to build up their own immunity.
Right. That's so interesting. Well, when do you plan to relaunch the project, or are you working specifically in Sri Lanka about that? Are you able to do this also where you are in the Netherlands?
Well, right now we have prepared these ELISA tests, and in the first week of January we will ship the test plates to Sri Lanka, and Vijita, the head veterinarian of the Elephant Transit Home, he will perform the tests himself. So that's really great. We know him very well, and he's capable to do this in cooperation with the vet school in Sri Lanka.
Well, this sounds like it would have an enormous impact. As it stands right now, how many elephants are affected with EEHV, and how many fatalities are there estimated to be because of this virus? I know that recently there was an outbreak in Syracuse, like in the United States, and I know that it's been particularly common in domestic circuses, because circuses haven't been, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, but how big of a problem do you think this is at an already vulnerable elephant population?
Well, in zoos, we know we have the figures. In Europe, we have lost 35, 36 in the past 20 years, and I think in the US, it's now about 50 something or 60.
Why is it so high? Is it because we have more circuses, or because we have more zoos? Because we don't have as many elephants. I mean,
well, the thing is, it's kind of part of the success of the breeding programs that we started, because in the past we didn't have it because there were no young elephants. They were all captured in the wild, and they were sold to zoos, and they grew old and they died. And in the 80s of the last century, the zoos started to become more responsible.
Madonna, here are the first 5. 4 minutes.
So the
American Life, Verde Song, Bad Girl, and Batuka. Do you want to hear more?
I don't even know what this is. No. Okay. I don't know what that was.
Somebody's spying you.
They are. No.
On the website songfacts.com. Madonna.
No.
The first 5.
No,
4
Madonna.
minutes.
No.
American Life.
Oh my
Verde
God.
Song,
What?
Bad Girl.
Is that your? Oh,
Do you want
Madonna.
to hear more?
No. I don't even know what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
She'll bite you now.
I don't know. God, so many things talking to you.
No, I hate it.
I know. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Okay. So, well, going back to what we were talking about with how many elephants are impacted by EEHV,
yeah.
I mean, it seems to be really popular in the United States as opposed to Europe. And why is that?
Well, it's also it's common in the wild as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially the Asian elephants. The African elephant seem to be more protected, and so in zoos we have now about 100 cases in Europe and the United States together. There are some dozens of cases in India, and there are several cases, I think about 100 at the moment, also reported in the wild. And the interesting thing is that in African elephants, we don't see it that much, probably because they shed the virus, because their virus is different from the virus that affects the Asian elephants, but they are more often exposed to the virus. Whenever you take a sample from the mouth of an African elephant, there's a high chance that you catch the virus. While in Asian elephants, the shedding is much less frequent. And that is why it is so difficult for a young calf to build up this immunity. And I think that this is also happening in the wild, where there is a lot of fragmentation of the habitat. The reproduction rate has gone down. The herds are getting smaller and smaller. So there is less interaction between different herds. And there is also, I hypothesize, there's also less shedding of the virus by adult elephants. So the poor young elephant that is born with maternal antibodies in the wild, if he or she is not exposed before she's 2 years old, and she gets it when she is 3 or 4 years old, she will die.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's part of the deplorable situation of the elephants in the wild that makes them so vulnerable for it.
Right. Right. Well, I think it's wonderful what you're doing and spearheading this project in Sri Lanka, being exposed to the Asian elephants that have are greater risk. And I'm really excited to have you linked up with VI, and I look forward to hearing what happens over the next few years with this project. And I hope the excitement of everything that's going around with our own vaccinations could really help what's happening with the elephant population also, and maybe have some sort of connectivity to that.
Oh, well, I'm very optimistic that there will be a solution for the problem within a couple of years.
Of course, that's great to hear. Well, thank you so much, Willem, for coming on, and thank you for all the work that you do. It's, you know, it's something when Dr. Scarlett Magda of VI told me what EEHV was, it never really crossed my mind that elephants would be so vulnerable to the herpes virus and at such a great risk for it. It's just something it didn't occur to me, and I don't know why, but it's interesting to learn a lot about it. And thank you for talking to me about it.
My pleasure.
Okay. Well, take care and stay safe I hope you and your family remain healthy, and good luck over the next few months.
Thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.